Well, hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we talk about the classic NBC sitcom Parks and Recreation. And my name is Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going so well. It's Friday as we're recording this. We survived a Maypocalypse windstorm yesterday, and we're doing great. Life is beautiful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really excited for this episode.
Me too.
Let's talk about it.
You know, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Let's converse. Let's do it. We're looking at season 4, episode 3. It is called Born and Raised. And in this episode, Leslie, as a part of her campaign, has written a book. And she desperately needs Joan Calamezzo's approval, just like she needs everybody's approval all the time. But Joan is the withholding stepmom of Pawnee. I don't know. This got mean.
I was just going to say this approval comes with a sticker. It's a tangible approval.
Yeah, I wish more people carried stickers around that. Like, maybe I'll just start doing this.
Yeah, I approve of you. You have my approval.
It's just going to say worthy. Just here you go. What is this? Well, if you have to ask, give it back and then rip it up in front of them. You're never going to get one of these. Yeah. So she
we can have pins or patches from all the people that approve of us. Like we're campaigning for some office, but really it's just life.
Yeah.
Look at all the people that think I'm doing a good job.
Let's look at stickers as endorsements of myself as a person.
Yeah, there you go. Endorsements.
Yeah, I'm endorsed by these other people. And who are they? I don't know. But
doesn't matter.
This one was the barista at Starbucks. They're like, hey, that was a really simple order. Thank you. It's like, hey, thank you. You almost spelled my name right. I did get...
I approve of you.
I have a very simple name, right? Jason. Jason.
Jason.
It is one of the least misspelled names for most of my life. I've never, up until very recently, I've never had anybody ask me, how do I spell that? But I did go to Starbucks and I got the order and they put your name on all of them now. And because they've got the sticker machine that is an approval of your drink as for your order. And they spelled it Jaysen.
Oh, it was the Y. The Y is silent.
Well, J just by itself has a Y in it. I get it. Sen. Jason. I was just mad.
It works phonetically.
It works phonetically, but it's
emotionally taxing.
Thank you. Finally, I feel heard and seen.
I can't see you, but I approve. I approve of you.
Thank you. I'll wait for that sticker in the mail.
All right.
Somewhere yesterday, my daughter was very. We went to a Barnes and Noble. There's a new Barnes and Noble, so we had to go. And we were walking by Zoomies, and she said, "Zoomies, they sell skateboards? I thought they only sold stickers."
Yeah, they sell stickers for the skateboards.
Yeah, it's like, well, they go hand in hand. And she's like, "Oh, what if there was a store that only sold stickers?" I'm like, that would be a fantastic thing. But
I think that's called a kiosk in the mall.
Right. But what if instead of the walls of the kiosk facing outward, you expanded it and those walls faced inward, and on those walls were racks of stickers? So it's just a reverse situation, but a whole store. What do you think?
I like it.
All right, let's get to it. But before we start that new business, let's talk about this episode of Parks and Rec. It starts as Leslie is on the... Well, let me go too far. First impressions of this episode. Jeremy, go.
Yeah. Oh man, I love this episode because, well, it's been a while since I saw it, and then there's the A plot and the B plot, and the B plot with Anne. Not to give anything away till we get there, but I was like, oh, that's right. This one's kind of tedious and all this, and then the punchline gets delivered for it, which I had kind of forgotten about, or like the payoff. And I was like, this is so funny. This is so well done. And so I just remember this whole thing being really funny, and it was again. And then looking up on IMDb at like an 8.2 or something, I thought that was really low for how funny this episode was. So I think this is a funnier episode than maybe most people give it credit for, in my opinion. My approval sticker rating.
Well, I think your sticker should say underrated. Like that's just the Jeremy sticker of excellence. You
Just
give
underrated.
It just says underrated. And so like when you hand it over to people, they immediately think Jeremy thinks highly of me.
Yeah, because I can't do a
nobody
positive.
else does.
Right.
So
mine wouldn't be a positive sticker. It's like this. It's like the offhanded, negative sticker. You're underrated.
Yeah. Or
it's a left-handed compliment.
Exactly. You're underrated.
Did you know that you're not as good as everyone thinks? Let me tell you.
Or you're trying so hard.
Yeah, you're really doing it.
Yeah. So this is, I agree with you. I think this is an underrated episode. I think it belongs in the 9 realm.
Wow.
I think it's that funny because the whole Joan situation with her, I think Joan is in herself is a situation, but her show in this episode just goes into the stratosphere with bizarroness,
yes,
which I love. And then the other side, I think one of the reasons why you and I relate to this so well is because we are both married to nurses. And so Anne is able to use the nurse playbook to foster a relationship or 2 relationships. And so like you and I have both been in situations where our wives tell stories that are just weird.
Oh yeah.
So like, so that's part of Anne's whole deal in this episode. So I think that might be why you and I can be like, yeah, I get it. I get it. So, and then also anytime Ben and Tom are working together,
right.
I think they, those 2 characters partner very well together because they're so different.
Right.
And so I love that. So like the basic breakdown, it all starts together with, after the cold open, they all start together, but they all split off. So it's kind of weird because there's like the 3 plots in this episode, but they are all like a branch off of a single tree that like, so they all kind of work together, even though it's 3 different plots. They're all in league. So,
and I think that's one of the other reasons why I really like this episode too, is because they do split apart. And I mean, I'm probably not going to add anything to what you just said, but it was planned that way. Like there's not just these random kind of storylines. They have their own storylines that they work together as their own side things, but they all relate back to the main idea, and that is Leslie trying to make sure that this book is factually correct. And so everyone's working on their own things going on. So I just think it's really cool because everyone has a part to play in this book, journey with Leslie.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's great
on taxpayers' money, but whatever.
Well, I mean, Ron, who is the super libertarian who doesn't believe in any kind of taxes, still has no problem taking the money that taxes pay for his salary.
Sure.
So anyway, Ron, full of hypocrisy. All right, let's jump into this because it starts in one of my favorite character introductions in the whole series as well, Derry Merbles, as Leslie is going on a press tour of Pawnee, which is a much too small town to have so much media, but whatever, we've gone over it. She's on a press tour to promote her new book, Pawnee, the Greatest Town in America. And she's going to the Pawnee Community Radio, which is essentially a parody of NPR. Have you listened to a lot of NPR in your life?
No, not really. I know of it, but I don't know. Have you?
Yeah, I enjoy NPR. Partly because it is so weird. And the introduction, the setup for how the shows are introduced, like we were watching a documentary on PBS, which is NPR for TV, and it has all those foundations and stuff. This American experience has been brought to you by They do the same thing on NPR, and I love the foundations that are supporting Pawnee Community Radio, the Wendell G. and Muriel Fathright Corbin Foundation, and Sweetums Cares, a nonprofit group that puts umbrella hats on homeless people when it rains. It's so great. And we'll learn more about Sweetums in the coming episodes, and their Sweetums Cares Foundation. But that sounds exactly like they set it up for how awesomely terrible the foundation will be in the future. They put umbrella hats on homeless people when it rains. I love that. So
when it rains, not beforehand, not when people need it, just only when it rains. I just thought that was funny.
They're going to wait for the rain, and then they go and find the homeless people, and they put the hats on them. And then as soon as it unrains, they take them back.
You mean stops?
I mean what I mean. I mean what I mean. I have the toes I have. So, and then we meet Derry Merbles, filling in for David Parker, who took off for 8 months to study the migration patterns of our nation's squirrels. We have not seen him since. And again, that's another element of NPR where it's like, I'm Ari Fleischer. I don't know if that's a guy. And I'm filling in for so-and-so on Morning Edition. And like this fill in culture, the foundations, everything about it just made me laugh so hard. And I love it. And Derry Merbles is that
the opposite of cancel culture?
Fill in culture. Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
I would. Yeah, let's go for it. I'm anti.
Okay.
I'm anti cancel culture. I'm pro fill in culture. So, Derry Merbles is played by the same person who does the voice for Homer Simpson on The Simpsons. Same guy. Frank something. We closed all of our internet tabs because the internet is dumb. But thank you, internet, for distributing this podcast.
Castellaneta also he also does the voice for Barney and Krusty, among many others.
Yeah, the Simpsons cast is small but robust. A lot of them do.
Yeah, Hank Azaria.
Hank Azaria is no longer voicing Apu because they realize how offensive that is. So that's good. Mm-hmm. But so Leslie is promoting this book, Pawnee, the Greatest Town in America, and she's running for office, right? And normally when people run for office, they write a biography of themselves. But Leslie is not that way. And so she wrote a book about the town. And it's not just any book it's not like a boring historical thing. It's like her life and her journals and everything that goes into it. And even as she's talking about it, they had people contribute different things, added pictures, and they removed a lot of her poems and emotional ramblings and pictures of unicorns. All of this stuff that she would have put in, they took out because editors are a blessing to everybody. So she's promoting this book, and I love Derry's description of books, which is, Leslie could once say that a book is nothing more than a painting of words, which are the notes on the tapestry of the greatest film ever sculpted. Derry is so great. One could say that, but should one? And I love his mixing of metaphors and everything. It's so good. And then as they're leaving, he's signing off saying, join us next week for David Biancoli, who will be filling in for Richard Chang Jefferson, who will be filling in for me. So coming and going, there's filling in all over. So, so good. So good. And then credits come back to the office, and Ron starts off by saying, usually I only read nautical novels and my own personal manifestos, but I'm proud to make this exception, talking about Leslie's book. And so she's given everybody copies. She's asked everybody to buy extra copies, and she signed everyone's as well. And for April's, she wrote 7 pages, like a really long yearbook note, which because she started thinking about April as a woman and got carried away. And then Jerry's just says, "Get well soon."
Are you sick? Aren't you sick?
Yeah. So, and then he's like, "No, but well, something's off."
Oh, so just Jerry.
Yeah, so good. And then Chris comes in and he's like, "Leslie, I loved your book." And she's like, "I just gave it to you." He's like, "I'm a speed reader. I can read 3,000 words a minute, total comprehension." And so, so he's already read the book. And then, so people are really excited about it. And then Tom comes in and he starts giving away 720 pillowcases for your pillow. And it says on there, "Never stop dreaming." And then Tom quotes, like, that's quoted to him, "Never stop dreaming." And Chris Traeger responds, "I never do." So like this pile of positivity of Chris Traeger is wonderful. So
pile of positivity.
Is there a different way to describe Chris Traeger?
I don't know. Like, well, yeah, but a pile of it seems so sad and sloppy. Like I just think like a structure of positivity or a monolith of positivity. Pile of sadness.
No, I think it's a pile of positivity because a pile you don't know how to organize.
Spreads everywhere, right?
Yeah,
it just goes everywhere.
Like, this is unorganized.
I can't stop it.
But there's a lot of it. So, so kind of like my office. It says a lot of stuff. I'll organize it eventually. That's how I feel about Chris's positivity. So Leslie has to go because she needs to be on Pawnee today, and she is trying to get her book selected for Joan's book club. And Ben is, of course, shocked by the fact that Joan Calamezzo has a book club. And the most recent example that Leslie gives is The Time Traveler's Optometrist by Pawnee's own Penelope Foster. And it's terrible, but as soon as Joan put her sticker on it, it became a bestseller. So, so Leslie really wants that sticker, and Tom tells her, like, there's an anonymous tip that there's a factual error in the book, which then immediately just spins Leslie out of control because she knows she's going to go on the show and Joan is going to have one of her gotcha moments. And Leslie's response is, "Well, she's not going to get me," which is also not a word. And so she's like, "All right, we're going to have to figure it out. We're going to have to find all of any factual inconsistency or error." And Chris just says, "I found no inaccuracies," because he's a speed reader. So he just read through the whole thing again. And so they divide up to find the different things. And this is where the tree branches off. So Jerry is going to go town to town looking for every single detail for people who live outside of town and seeing if there's any errors there. And Jerry's on it, and he goes. Ron, April, and Anne are going to work together, and they're going to read through the book. And then we have Leslie and Tom, and does Chris go with him to Joan's show? I feel like Chris goes, but maybe not. Yeah, Chris does go. All right.
Yeah, he does.
So they're going to go and be on Joan's show. So let's focus in on the Anne story, because it's pretty simple, right? Anne's whole goal is to try to get Ron and April to have a 5-minute conversation with her. That's it. And they have no interest in doing that at all. And so Anne comes in like, "Hey, ready to do some fact checking?" And they're just like, they grunt at her. And so as that is going on, and as Anne is trying to make these conversations happen, there's several different scenes. They come back to her, and she finally realizes that the best way to get them to talk to her is by telling a gross nursing story, which always works in Anne's experience. And I'm going to scroll down in my notes to the payoff of the story, to where they're really hooked in. And so Anne comes in, is like, "I took a half shift at the hospital last night, had a really weird patient. It's the grossest thing I've ever seen. And Ron's just like, talk, like, tell me more. Well, this guy came in, he got his hand stuck in a Pringles can, and he tried to cut himself out. And April's response, was there a lot of blood? Ron's response, what kind of blade did he use? And Anne's 3.5 inch serrated buckets of blood. He passed out over his arm and slumped onto the floor. And April's like, did the bone show? Ron, very good question, April. Answer her. Yes, the bone showed. Everyone in the universe loves gross medical stories, so Anne's using this for her whole thing, and then cuts back after the talking head. Boom, I win. So after the talking head, so when I finally cleaned up the vomit, I found the toe, and April's like, I forgot about the toe. So did we. Crazy, right? That story's awesome, indeed. And thanks for sharing, Jenny, Ron says. And Anne was, and then it cuts to talking head, and Ron's like, Anne was getting a little chummy. And when people get too chummy with me, I like to call them by the wrong name to let them know that I don't really care about them. And April's in the room with this talking head. He's like, that's a genius move. Thank you. You're welcome, Lester. So, so that's a fun, like, C plot of the story with Anne and Ron and April. But I love how it comes back. It's like, when I cleaned up the vomit, I found the toe. I forgot about the toe. So it's a great transition into any story, like, to cut off of, like, from that talking head to, I just love that. That was such well written scene change. So, yeah. So they go on to the show. Scrolling back up in my notes, fast forward, time travel is hard. So they go to Joan's show, and Leslie is pretty excited. She's trying to win Joan over. Ben trying to win Joan over, and Ben meets her, and he's like, she introduced himself, Ben Wyatt, and we've met. And Joan's just like, I don't think so. I was on your show. So Joan is the worst. And then Tom is like, I'm trying to get my girl on this sticker, trying to get this for your book club. And can I do this? And then cuts to talking head, like, at the risk of bragging, one of the things I'm best at is riding coattails. Behind every successful man is me, smiling and taking partial credit. So he's trying to help Leslie get this because it'll be good for Entertainment 720, because that's a business that does something. So far, nothing, but eventually they'll do something. So Tom's like,
at least Tom knows how terrible he is.
Oh yeah, he gets it. He knows that he's not producing anything in this world except for things with his logo on it. Never stop dreaming. I never do. Yeah. So Ben is like, Tom is like, am I going to get this sticker? Is this going to work? And John's just playing hard to get. And then, yeah. So still no mistakes found. And then they cut to the show, and Jones starts interrogating her, and is like, you're a real native of Pawnee, aren't you? And Leslie's like, yep, I was born and raised here, and I love the town so much I literally wrote the book on it. And Joan starts holding up the book and the sticker, and it's like, I have it right here. I also have this sticker. And she's like, oh. Whichever, when this sticker is applied, it legally determines the newest selection of Joan's book club. And like, she's playing hard to get with the book and the sticker. And Leslie is over to the side, just like, come on, just do it. Just put the sticker on it. Just stick it. And Joan's like, I can't do it. I have a tip that you were not born in Pawnee. And Leslie is shocked. And then Joan says, gotcha. And because you lied about it, we cannot make this the book club selection. And then it's like, I have to tell you, this feels like gotcha journalism. And Joan's like, in what way? You put this giant gotcha like on my face on the screen behind me. And it's so like, yeah, it's so great. And then she's like, we'll take calls. We're going to speculate wildly about where we think Leslie was actually born. And then to keep it even more out of control, the gotcha dancers show up, and they start dancing in front of all this. The whole show is totally debased and totally out of control. And the music, the lyrics are so good. Betcha thought you'd get away with ya, but you got caught. didn't you? I love it so much. Bet you thought you'd get away with you, but you got caught, didn't you?
And Chris loves it. Like, he just loves the energy, I think. He's like, yeah.
And he says, like, that was despicable. I was horrified at her tactics, but that show was pretty lively.
Pretty lively.
Joan, gotcha. So
it's catchy. Very catchy.
Yeah. So then they split up again to Leslie and Andy are going to investigate a little bit more. Ben and Tom are going to try to convince Joan to get the sticker. So now we have another fork in the quest here as the party keeps splitting up. And Andy is so excited because now he has an opportunity to resurrect Burt Macklin. And even cuts to a talking head. You thought I was dead? So did the president's enemies. So
gotta protect the president's jewels.
Yeah, the president's rubies. Yeah. So so then it cuts back to Anne and the gang talking and basically saying, like, I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna try to get that small talk. So cuts back. Leslie left with Andy, and Joan comes out and is like, did Leslie leave? We really wanted to sign her to the gotcha wall. And so Tom is like, come on, please, can we get that sticker? And this is where Joan says, sorry, I am first and foremost a journalist, which is
integrity.
Hilarious.
Gotta have integrity.
Yeah. So then she's like, why don't we go out to lunch? Let me go change into something more tantalizing. And so Ben is like, we're going to lunch with her. And but Tom's just like, I have to help Leslie. And he even says to Ben, like, you're the one who told me that businesses in quotes need clients in quotes to get money in quotes. And Ben's like, I was the first one to tell you that. So and Tom's not worried about it because Joan flirts, but she's married, and so it's like there's nothing's gonna happen. It's just Joan being Joan. But then they get to lunch and they find out that Joan is no longer married. And then she begins to get really, really drunk. And as she is getting more and more drunk, she starts flirting more and more with Tom and making everybody in the world uncomfortable. And so that's a real gross thing that happens with Joan. Is it all right if we follow that track?
Oh, sure. Keep going.
Okay. All right. So she gets so drunk that she's like, I'm going to take you guys back to my house. And like, she wants to like hook up with Tom. And Tom's like, you got to help me. You got to like turn her off. I don't know, talk about something nerd culture or like Star Wars or something. And this is where Ben is like, nerd culture is mainstream right now. So when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means that you're the one out of the zeitgeist. To which Tom says, yes, that's perfect. Just like that. Be incredibly boring. And so it doesn't work. And it cuts back to another story, but then comes back to the restaurant, and Joan is standing in the restaurant singing to everybody, this one's for the boys. Just like totally out of control. And then she passes out and they take her home, and her place is the creepiest, grossest place ever, full of like tantalizing photos of Joan posing, in lingerie and stuff for herself. I don't know who is approving of this. And so they take drunk Joan home. They lay her in bed, and Ben's like, we got to get out of here. This is the weirdest place I've ever seen. And Tom's like, I just want to see how soft these sheets are. And then she moves around a bit, and they like, get out of here. We left some water and aspirin by the bed, and they run away. So, so that's Ben and Tom's journey, which is a failure. They are not able to convince Joan to put the sticker on the book. So now we've got Andy and Chris and Leslie, and they're trying to figure out what are we going to do to begin this new to get this all squared away. And so part of the thing is they have to find the birth certificate. And this was just so great because we went through years of people wondering if one of our elected officials was actually born in this country. And so learning about long form birth certificates and short form, all kinds of things, like this is a real struggle. And so as she goes from Joan's place, she goes to a book reading at a Barnes and Noble, and the people start questioning, like, where are you really from? And you could have been born in China. You're hiding something. You should go back to where you came from. And Leslie's response is, I am back where I came from. That sentence was confusing. So the book club, the bookstore reading goes downhill fast. And then they go also then to the talking to her, what are they? Campaign managers,
right?
Elizabeth and William. And they're like, we did a flash poll. So this is a thing that happened in like 20 minutes. We did a flash poll. 68% of Pawnees now believe you're lying about where you were born. And then Leslie's reading is like, 13 believe I'm crazy-eyed. So I don't know why that came up in the poll.
That's the part that bothers her the most, though.
Yeah. Well, but in the pollster has control over the questions and responses, right? Like
they're write-in responses.
Oh, you think those were write-ins?
Yeah.
13% wrote in, she's crazy-eyed.
Totally.
All right. So Leslie hands over her, the birth certificate she has, and like, that's not good enough. It says you were born in Wamapoke County, but we need the long form. And so then she's like, she has to go to Eagleton to get the original long form certificate, which is not something anybody looks forward to, because Eagleton is the land of rich, snobby jerks. And there's a whole chapter about it in her book. And so they go. And they meet Alexis, who's working at the front desk. And she's like super chipper and cheery. And Leslie's just like, take it down to not Alexis. And just like, I need a copy of my birth certificate. And she's like, it takes 3 to 8 weeks. And Leslie's bummed. But then Chris, handsome Chris, comes up and says, hi, I'm Chris. I'm wondering if you might make an exception for me. And Alexis says no, because she's from Eagleton and everybody's pretty in Eagleton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So Chris has no power there. He's like Superman on Krypton. Like Kal-El is just like everybody else. So, because he's under the red sun of Krypton and not the yellow sun of Earth.
Right.
And so now Eagleton is Chris's red sunned planet. So he can't get it. And Chris is just like, that usually works. So they start to leave and she's like, I really need that birth certificate. And he's like, wait, I got it. Burt Macklin is on the case. And so he then like jumps over the counter to get it and then comes back. He's like, hey, wait, how do you spell your last name? So then time passes and he comes back out with the birth certificate. He's like, I got it. And also this briefcase, it was just laying there. I kind of panic move. I just took it. And Chris is like, I believed in you, but you should totally put that back. So he just throws it over the counter, which is great. And so Leslie's looking at the thing and is like, Leslie Barbara Nope, born January 18th to Robert and Marlene Nope in Eagleton, Indiana.
Oh, no.
Commercial break. And everybody had to wait. What's going to happen? Is Leslie going to like just end it? Can she go on moving, living, knowing the fact that she was born in Eagleton? And then it comes back. Leslie going in to see her mom. Is it true, Mom? Was I born in Eagleton? And she's like, yeah, the hospital was overrun with raccoons.
I love that so much.
So,
always, if there's ever a problem, it's like, you know what? Raccoons.
Yeah. So, yeah. And nobody, like, she doesn't seem like it was it was unusual enough to have ever told her daughter the hospital was overrun with raccoons.
I'm just going to start using that from now on. How come you're late? Raccoons.
Yeah, raccoons every time.
The pizza's burnt. Raccoons.
Yeah, they were using their little grimy hands and messing with the temperature controls.
You forgot to pick up the kids at school, raccoons.
I thought it was their turn.
Yeah, see? It works every time.
Yes, every single time. And so, Leslie is like, why didn't you tell me? And Marlene's like, well, does it really matter? Does it really matter? You were technically born in Eagleton. Who cares? And Leslie's like, I care. The people of this town care. And I went on Pawnee today and I called Joan a liar. And so she's really upset and she doesn't know what to do about all of this.
And she's a liar. And she's worse than a liar. She's an Eagletonian.
Yeah. So so the truth is all coming out and it is not good. And even thinking through this as she, like, the next day, she's like, I wonder who else was born in Eagleton. Voldemort, probably. Then, Tom comes in after his failure with trying to convince Joan. Is like, look, E720 wasn't able to get the sticker. And Leslie's like, the sticker is the least of my problems. I'm probably, my political career is over. And Ron's like, you don't have to tell them anything. All the voters need to know is your name. And I even go back and forth on that. And then this is where Chris is so helpful. He said, Leslie, where you're born is a piece of trivia. Where you're from, that's what makes you who you are. And you are from Pawnee. You're more Pawnee than anyone I know. And so that is like such a great truth. Where you're from, where you're born is trivia, but where you're from makes you who you are. And I love that. And so they go back to Joan's show. And Tom says thanks, and Joan's like, thank you for getting me home last night. I wasn't feeling very well because of some bad seafood that I ate. And Beth's like, yeah, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. And so Leslie is like, I'd like to apologize to those I misled. I thought I was telling the truth, but sadly I was born in Eagleton. And Joan's like, what? That's worse than I could have ever hoped for. And so then she repeats Chris's line, like, it's not where you're born, it's where you're from. And then she starts to talk about, like, when I was 9 years old, I broke my arm sliding off a giant hill behind Kirsten's rubber nipple factory. Nipple Hill. Of course, Joan says. Of course. And then she's talking about all the different things. And then she points at the producers, like, and Jim Kaepernick. I know Jim. Jim and I have gone to school together since we were like 3 years old. Yeah, it's true. Do you remember when you peed your pants in second grade? And he's just like, why did you bring that up? I said yes. So, and then she keeps going off on that. And like, we called you the gerbil because you always smelled like soiled wood chips. But all the bona fides to say, yes, I am from here. And like, she loves the town. She always has. She always will. That's why she wrote the book. And that's why she's running for city council. And Pawnee is not one of these big cities, but it's a great place to live and work. And serving the goofballs in this town is an honor and a privilege. So, yeah. And so she was so excited to be a part, like, to get it all squared away. She has a great line now, like, this is where I'm from. And then she starts reading from her book. There's a talking head reading from her book. And yes, every town claims its diners' waffles are the best in the world, but somewhere in some town, there really are the best waffles in the world. So delicious and rich and golden brown that anyone who tasted them would decide never to leave that town. Somewhere those waffles exist. Why can't it be here? And that is the big selling point for Pawnee, JJ's Diners. And then Joan eventually puts the book in the book club, and things are all good, all happening, and it's wonderful. She wins. The credit scene is fantastic, where Jerry just comes in to the office and basically says, "Look, I've been all over the state. I cannot find any errors. I've interviewed all the people you mentioned, and so far, not one incorrect fact. So I'm going to go home, say hi to Gail, wish my daughter a happy belated birthday. It was yesterday, and then I'm going to head back out and hit the towns in the southeast. Anything new I should know?" And Leslie's like, "No, you're doing great." And he goes out, and everybody in the office is just like shocked that Leslie didn't say anything, and she's just like, he seems so happy. And so that's the episode. The end.
I want waffles now.
Yeah. I love waffles, and
with bacon inside.
Ooh, waffles with bacon inside. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
If I, having wrapped up all of the credit scene and everything, and now talking about waffles, if there were a pizza breakfast, like a breakfast pizza, why not use a waffle base as the crust? Convince me. Like, is that not crazy? Like, am I crazy thinking like waffles, your sauce is syrup, you put some eggs, some cheese, some bacon. You've got breakfast pizza.
I'm for it.
Okay, cool.
And it's not even just for breakfast. I think it could be for any meal and snack.
Why not? There's nothing keeping us from really exploring the waffle pizza whole world. So yeah, so that's the book club. That's the book club of destiny, born and raised. Leslie's an author now, and she loves this town. So any other thoughts? Anything that stood out that you missed, that maybe we missed, or people need to hear about from your perspective, Jeremy?
What the stuck? That's what I would call the sticker store. What the stuck?
All right. Yeah. Good.
Other than that, no, that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Well, yeah, listener, if you are listening to this whole episode and you're like, that seemed like an abrupt transition at some point, it's probably because it was. There were we are overcoming many adversities. Some people have challenges that of which you know not, and one of the challenges that we had today was the internet was stupid, and so. So if there's any rough transitions, please forgive us. But I do want to respond. We got an email from a listener named Matt, who also has a podcast called Comedy Night Podcasted Right. And this came through our podcast server people, Fireside. This is not an ad for Fireside, but Dan Benjamin, who owns Fireside, listen, I would totally endorse your product, fireside.fm. It's fantastic. But Matt, who does Comedy Night Podcasted Right, wrote to us, said that he just discovered our show and he's loving it. And, our audio quality is great. So I hope he's still listening, and I hope that's still true. But he has a podcast of his own, Comedy Night Podcasted Right, where he talks about the weird and wonderful time where NBC aired new episodes of Community, Parks, The Office, and 30 Rock on the same night. So it seems like he's going week to week, just talking about that Thursday. And so he goes through the time frame over the week, discuss the episodes, talk about what else was going on in the world and on TV, and dump on NBC for not giving these shows more of a chance. What a great idea for a podcast. So Matt, thank you for listening. And I will add it to my... Yeah, I'm going to add it to my podcast queue, and I would encourage others to do so likewise, as long as it doesn't take you away from listening to this podcast. That's my only request. If you have to choose between Matt and Parks and Conversation, you know the right choice. Anyway, that's that. So, Jeremy, I hope you're still around, but if you're not, fare thee well. And listener, it says here on my little computer device that Jeremy is offline. So fear not, he is well. And I hope you are well as well, and not in a well of internet terribleness. So I will talk to you all later. Enjoy your life. I don't know how to end this now. Bye.
The golden years.